Okay. Mm. So it's this diaspora war going on, right? Of FBAs. So FBA, the foundation of Black Americans, right? They say they are foundational to America, right? They go to America first. Um, they are not Africans. They are not African Americans, right? Because yeah, I think they just don't like Africa to be attached to their identification, right? So instead of them going with African American, they prefer to be called FBAs. Some even go ahead to identify themselves as Black Americans, right? Just so you don't add Africa to their names, right? So they call themselves FBAs, you know, and they have issue with West Africans, right? They have a very strong issue with West Africa. Every day you see them on TikTok live streams bashing Africans, right? Africa is a ghetto. Africa don't have water. They live in mud house, musty grounds, and all those kind of talking points, right? They are their master Tariq Nasheed, right? They are trademark the whole FBA thing, the Foundation of Black America, right? He started in 2019, right? And like they say, they wanna delineate. They don't wanna be called African Americans, right? So Tariq Nasheed, every day he goes on live streams, bash Africans, say all sorts of things about Africa, and now people are following him, like his followers. They call themselves FBAs and now doing the same thing. Every day they go on live streams, insult Africans, and say they don't have anything to do with Africa, right? They are not African Americans. They are just foundational to America, right? So there's this friction. There's this diaspora war between them and Africa, right? Them and Africans to be specific, right? Especially West Africa. You know, one thing I really don't understand about them is they say they did not come from Africa, right? Hey, hi, Katie Scott. Let me know where you're streaming from, right? So I can know who the nationality or whatever. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, I'm addressing the diaspora. I don't know if you're African or you're black person because this is a black diaspora conversation, right? There's been a lot of online fight between Africans and some other black people, especially the ones that call themselves FBA, Foundational Black Americans, right? I don't know if you were here earlier when I was explaining. They call themselves Foundational Black Americans because they wanna delineate from Africa. And maybe using the word delineation because that's what they always say. We don't wanna be identified as Africans. We wanna delineate, right? So they go around saying all sort of things about Africa. They say a lot of things about Africa. And now Africans are retaliating. Africans are reacting to some of these their talking points, right? And now they are mad, you know. So because Africans have been responding to their hate speech and all of that, now some of them are changing tone, right? Some of them don't want to be called, or they don't want to say they are FBAs, right? They rather go ahead and identify themselves as Black Americans, right? Which I always ask them, because I also have like a community on TikTok where I host these conversations, right? I always tell them, because when it comes to my panel, you have to identify yourself, you know, by your ethnicity. And when I ask them what is your ethnicity, they tell me they are Black Americans. I'm like, Black American is not an ethnicity, right? I know African American, but Black American is not an ethnicity. Black American is simply somebody that is born in America, a black man that is born in America, right? If I, as a black man, go to America today and give birth to a kid in America, that kid is a Black American. Black, the race, an American is a citizen of the United States of America, right? So, um, race plus nationality does not equal ethnicity, right? It is culture, language that equals ethnicity, because that is what that distinguishes you from the same people that you share the same phenotype with, right? For example, let's say I'm a Maasai from Kenya, right? There are a lot of people that I share the same phenotype with in Kenya. Like I look like them in Kenya, right? We share the same hair, same skin tone, and all of that. But what distincts me from those other people that I share the same phenotype with is my culture as a Maasai. So what are some of my culture? The costume maybe I wear, right? Let's say the shuka, the red attire from Kenya, right? That already distincts me from other tribes. So the cultures, other cultures like social behaviors, like the Maasai high jump dance, right? So those cultures and language that I speak as Maasai is what distincts me from the other people, from the other tribes like the Kikuyu, Luo, Kamba, Kisi, and the rest of the tribes, right? So if you say you are Black American and you are not African American, you need to have a culture, you need to have a language that distincts you from the African Americans, right? Because you share the same phenotype with African Americans. You can just wake up one day. I know, yeah, it's America. America, you can wake up one day and call yourself whatever you want to call yourself, right? Because it's America, land of the free and all that, right? But you can just wake up one day and say, Black America is it's an ethnic group. No, it's not an ethnic group. So I personally I've been countering this talking point of these hateful FBAs, right? That have this anti-African ideology, right? Every day they have conversations with their boss Tariq Nasheed to demarket Africa, especially West Africa. And the stupid thing is, Tariq Nasheed will be telling his followers that don't go to Africa, it is this, it is that. But he himself, he has been to Africa a couple of times. Even not long ago, he was in Senegal, right? I just think Tariq Nasheed have understood the grievances of some of these black people in America, right? Especially the ones that are born in America that now call themselves FBAs, right? Tariq Nasheed has understood their grievances towards the African immigrants, right? That have migrated there, created a career, you know. But if you look at it in America, doctors are mostly Nigerians, right? So the immigrant, the black immigrant, the African immigrant in America are really doing, you know, very well for themselves, right? And Tariq Nasheed has seen how some of these black Americans, right, these African Americans actually think of, you know, people that come from Africa, right? So he decided to exploit that. He decided to exploit their grievances for Africans, and that's why, right, he decided to trademark the word FBA. I think FBA has been there actually before technical issues. I don't know if you all can still hear me or something. Okay. Yeah. So the diaspora war is really getting serious, and some of these hateful Americans are now going to the continent, right? I'm seeing some ladies. There's one lady that called herself Lazy House NGO, something like that, right? She went to Ghana, spent 2 years there, and all she could do is, be a spy, you know, market Ghana and the rest of West Africa, right? So pretty much the FBA's, they say they don't want to be Africans. They don't want to be. They want to be called African Americans. They are not Africans, but every day they're obsessed with Africans, right? They started this talking about Africa, this kind of things. Africans are reacting to their ignorance, right? To their hateful speech and all of that. And I think now it's becoming it's becoming difficult for them, right? Right. The funny thing about them, they always have this talking point of saying, "Oh, you Africans don't control anything. You Africans don't own anything. The white man controls everything." But let's use that logic now. You as a foundational Black American, right? That you said you are foundational to America. You got to America first, right? What do you control in America since you actually own America? Because I can tell you, I'll give an example, yeah? But Ibrahim Traore kicked out the French. Other African countries like the Sahel states, right? Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, right? I'm even talking about recently, not even back in the 1960s, like 57, like the days of Dr. Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah. I'm talking about now, right? Ibrahim Traore and the rest, Assimi Goïta kicked out the French, right? That's power. That tells you that they own that land. They are foundational to that land. That's why they have that power to kick out the French, right? But you as a foundational Black American that is foundational to America, can you do the same? Can you wake up one day and kick out the Americans, the white people in America? That's not possible, because they control everything. So you as a foundational Black American, you are not in any moral position or any position at all to tell Africans that Africans don't own anything or control anything, right? Because if you look at it, we have our heroes, right? On our bills, like our money. If you go to Ghana, you check the CDs, right? There is the Big Six, people that fought for the country, that liberated the country, right? You have Dr. Sajifo Kwame Nkrumah, Akufo-Addo, Kwesi Pratt, and the rest, right? That were part of the Big Six. When you go to Nigeria, you have the same thing. The heroes are on the currency. You have Awolowo and the rest. Same thing in Sierra Leone by Brewer and the rest. But you as an American, as a foundational Black American, right? Can you say the same? Because when I look at the American dollar, I see the white man, the European that got there and took everything from you, right? They control, you see their face on the American dollar, but we have our faces on our currency, right? We have our heroes on our currencies, right? We fought for independence, and yeah, we can see. But you are the foundational Black American. You can't say the same. as a foundational Black American, when you look at the American dollar, you see the white man. You don't see any of your heroes. And I'm not even saying this because I'm being specific, right? Because I since they say they want to delineate, they want to be addressed as foundational Black Americans, I'm not going to address them as African Americans, because I know African American heroes that fought, right? The civil rights, all of that. Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, all these ones, right? I can say they are heroes. But you as a foundation, because W.E.B. Du Bois will not come and say, oh, they got it to do with Africa, or they are delineating from Africa. Even all the civil rights fighters, right? Kwame Ture cannot say that. Even the Pan-Africans cannot say that, right? Because Pan-Africanism actually is more about Africa, right? So if you say you want to delineate, then you have to really give us your history that distincts you from the other Black Americans, right? That's why I keep saying, I want to address you as, because you say you want to be African American, right? So I want to address you as African American, right? But if you say you are foundational Black American and that is your ethnicity, you need to give us a lot of things, right? You need to give us your culture, your language, your traditions, your history, like the people you said have fought for that land, right? That you claim you are foundational to. We need to get all those kind of things. Otherwise, don't come here and telling us that you are foundational Black American. You wanna delineate with that. See, Africans don't have anything to do with you delineating. You don't want to be African. That's fine. If you don't want to be African, that's fine. But don't come and be insulting Africans every day in the name of delineating, like you call it. I don't even know if there's a word of delineating, because that's what they always do. We don't want to be Africans. We are just Black Americans. We are foundational to America. Fine. Go ahead and be foundational. But don't be foundational at the expense of Africa, right? Don't be foundational to America at the expense of Africans. Going around insulting Africans every day. But now you are getting the smoke, you are getting the fire from Africans, right? Africans are reacting now to your nonsense. So yeah, that is what I want to address today. FBA, you can go ahead and be whatever you want to be, but don't use that as a whatever to play on our intelligence. We are not stupid. We are Africans, right? You need to come better next time. Don't come and tell us you want to delineate, you want to do all these kind of things, and at the same time just build a movement or anti-Africa ideology, insulting the marketing in Africa and the Africans. All right? I will catch you in the next live stream. Bye.